right at the end of 2009, perhaps the first or second day of 2010, I received an email from one of our listeners, and it had an interesting question. The writer wanted to know what was the most significant story that I reported on or presented to the audience in 2009. Well, I think hands down, the single most significant story that I reported on in 2009 was the story of Dr. Lakizar Filipov. Dr. Filipov is the #2 guy in the Bulgarian version of NASA. It's called the Space Research Institute, and it's a part of the Bulgarian Academy of Science. Dr. Filipov is the deputy director of the Space Research Institute, and his credentials are just phenomenal. When I printed out his curriculum vitae, it took 12 pages. He's just got tremendous credentials, and he is a space physicist and has worked in space programs in Russia. Dr. Filipov gave a statement to the press in Bulgaria in November 2009. I believe it was November 23rd. And in this report that came out in the media, it came out in the press in Bulgaria, and then within hours was in an English translation all over the internet and all over Western press. Dr. Filipov said that, first of all, extraterrestrials are real. Secondly, extraterrestrials are among us all the time and you don't even recognize them. We're in constant communications with them. And that, if that were not enough, I mean, that was gangbusters. But if that were not enough, this article also said, now this is the reporter talking, but the reporter said that there had been a media presentation at which several of the alien species were present. And I'm quoting now. They were present and answered over 30 questions put to them by Bulgarian Academy of Science personnel. Now that statement was in the first report that came out. That was in the first article that came out. That statement disappeared from all subsequent articles. Now hear the statement again. A media presentation happened, and at that media presentation, here's the statement. Several of the alien species were present and answered over 30 questions put to them by Bulgarian Academy of Science personnel. Now that is an earth-shaking statement. That statement very clearly says that there was some type of media presentation, that extraterrestrials were present. Bulgarian Academy of Science personnel posed over 30 questions which these aliens answered. That was in the first report, and that report was carried on the wire by Associated Press. It's you can maybe find it. They've tried to purge it from the internet, but there may be still a page or two out there on the internet that contains that report. That was an AP report. It disappeared. That statement was not in any subsequent statements. Now, you need to know that we contacted immediately Dr. Filipov. That night, we were in conversations, telephone conversations with Dr. Filipov, and he was very excited, very enthusiastic. He said when we invited him to be on the show, I will do it. It is my duty as a scientist. The world needs to know. Within 24 hours, all of that evaporated. He gave us his private cell phone number to contact him. But we were never able to get Dr. Filipov on that cell phone. And we were never able to get him on his office phone again. It all evaporated. But you know, that isn't the end of the story. What makes this so significant has to do with the missing information out of the news reports and what happened to Dr. Filipov afterward. We tried emailing Dr. Filipov, and all we got in response was a form letter that was sent out. Now, this form letter was sent to everyone that emailed Dr. Filipov. I've seen it on the internet, and it's kind of interesting that some of the sites posted it saying that they had received a reply back from Dr. Filipov, and here it is. Well, if you read that, you will read something written in perfect English. That email was written by someone that is a native American English speaker. And I can assure you Dr. Filipov is not a native American English speaker. Dr. Filipov speaks English, but he speaks English in sort of a broken English because it's not his mother tongue. In the same way that I speak Bulgarian. I don't speak Bulgarian. I speak Serbian, but it's close to Bulgarian, and it sounds like very improper and broken Bulgarian to a Bulgarian. To a Serbian, it sounds fine. Dr. Filipov did not write that email. Someone wrote that for him. With or without his permission, we don't know. But that's what started me being suspicious immediately. My associate host on the Kevin Smith Show is Jerry Wills. Jerry and I were in conversations about the Filipov interview. We were very excited because he had said he would do the interview with us, and he had also told us on the telephone that people are shaking their heads at him, but that's because they don't know, and I quote, they don't know what we know. Continuing quoting Dr. Filipov, if you come here, I will show you what we know. So we were preparing to go to Bulgaria to film an interview with Dr. Filipov. This was significant and is significant. And in our conversation after talking with Filipov, Jerry and I were talking about going to Bulgaria and, getting this interview. And in the course of that conversation, somewhere in there, Jerry said, I just hope someone doesn't get to him before we get the interview. And I said, Jerry, we'll know within the next 48 hours. Well, we did know within 24 hours because we got that email back and we were not able to get Dr. Filipov back on the telephone. So we did know someone had gotten to Dr. Filipov. He disappeared from public view as far as being able to contact him, as far as anybody being able to get interviews with him, for several days, about 10 days. And then a television news station in Croatia was able to get in touch with him and arranged to get an interview with him at the Bulgarian Academy of Science offices.